Hey everyone, James Niggemeyer here. Thank you for tuning back into my YouTube channel. It is October, and so I want to do a series of videos on some different baits that are super productive for the month of October, this time frame as we move into the fall feeding frenzy, or that time of year when those fish really pursue those balls of shad and move into the backs of the creeks, school up on them, and there's a lot of different ways to catch them. And I want to go over some different things over the next few videos. But today I'm going to go over a bait that's kind of really overlooked. It doesn't get a lot of notoriety for this time of year. There's some baits that people think of when they think of the month of October as they move into the fall period. And this is a bait that I feel like gets overlooked, doesn't get a lot of play, but is a producer, has been something that I've reached for and caught a lot of fish, both on my guide trips and anytime I'm in the month of October. So this is a bait that you're gonna wanna have tied on for the month of October. Before I get right into it, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and drop a comment down below. The month of October, several different baits that can be super productive. And I feel like if I was to ask a bunch of you, what's your favorite bait for the month of October, I think very few people would actually look at this variation of a bait that is popular for the month of October. But it is a crankbait, but it's a bait, again, that really doesn't get a lot of press. And this is a Strike King Series 3. It's kind of a medium running crankbait. I'm gonna say this runs, depending upon the line size, somewhere between 3 and 6 feet of water, but you can hold your rod tip up high and get it to run a little shallower. It's got a round bill as opposed to the ever popular square bill that you feel like is just something that guys talk about in every month of the year because it works in every month of the year. But the Series 3 is a great bait for looking for bass in the month of October. And the thing that I feel like makes it so good is that there are some times when the fish get up on the flats and they herd up those shad, but when those fish pull back and kind of relate to that creek channel or that first nearest break or edge or drop, that's when this guy comes into play. Another time that I feel like that this guy really performs well is when I'm fishing around vertical cover. And what that might be some pole timber, that might be a bridge abutment, it might be a dock piling. I feel like this guy does really well when bass are suspended and trying to ambush bait in and around those vertical type covers. And the thing that I think that makes this great, and the time that I reach for this over a traditional like KVD 1.5 square bill or whatever your favorite square bill is when I want it to go a little bit deeper. It dives down in the 3 to 6 foot range, say with 10-pound tests. I'm usually running this on 10 or 12-pound test Gamma Edge fluorocarbon. And I can make a long cast with this bait. Even though it's small, it casts really well. It dives and runs, not with a super wide wobble, but kind of a medium and tighter type vibration, which I think also gives the bass something a little bit different to look at, specifically in those areas that get a lot of pressure in the fall time of the year, where you guys are, running those 2.5s and those wider wobbling crankbaits. This guy's kind of a medium running or a more narrow type or tighter vibration in those clearer water situations. I feel like appeals to those bass that might shy away from those wider wobbling crankbaits. The kind of gear that I'm throwing it on is a Lew's custom speed stick. This is an older model. It's not in production anymore. It's actually called the square bill crankbait rod, but the action and size and length of this bait or this rod is a 6'9", so it's under 7 feet. And when I'm throwing smaller baits, I like a smaller rod. I don't want a really long rod. I want a smaller rod, kind of fits the small bait profile. And it's easier to cast and wield around and put in and around targets and cover, and casting accuracy is enhanced, I feel like, when I've got a smaller, lighter rod. It's a medium heavy action, but it's a moderate fast. So instead of it, breaking right into and having a more stouter backbone, this thing's gonna really, bend. It's gonna perform more moderately that way. Line weight for this rod's 10 to 17, and lure weight's 1/4 to 3/4 ounce. But basically what I'm talking about for this type of bait, the type of rod that I like is like a 6 foot 6 to almost a 7 footer, and medium heavy, medium type action. And then you want at least like a moderate or even a fast action, depending upon the rod and the personality that it has. I'm running that with a loose Hypermag 7:5-to-1 gear ratio reel. And then, like I said, I'm going with the Gamma Edge fluorocarbon 10 or 12 pound test. I like a little bit lighter line with this guy because it really enhances the overall action of it as I'm fishing it in and around those fish feeding on the young of the year shad. That's another thing that makes this such a great bait. So there's some areas where an inch and a half shad is kind of the normal size, and even smaller than that. And so this appeals to mimicking those bait fish that are smaller and in and around those areas that bass are feeding on shad during the month of October and as we move deeper into the fall. For color patterns, I like a sexy shad, or this one's a chartreuse sexy shad. Gives you a little bit more color, but you're basically imitating shad, so those are the colors that I like. But sometimes you get into some more dirtier water situations in your chartreuse bluebacks, your chartreuse blackbacks, something that's a little more bright so it can pop and get the visual appeal and draw fish from a longer distance when the visibility is diminished. That's really it. It's kind of the rundown on a bait that I feel like flies under the radar and is a great fish catcher for the month of October and all your fall type fishing. This is actually a bait that is just overlooked in general. Square bills have kind of pushed this guy over, but it's still a time-proven producer. Works well during the winter time, works well anytime the fish are in that shallow to medium depth zone. So when you're out there fishing this fall, look for some of these medium running round bill crankbaits that will run in that shallow to medium zone and with a smaller profile that matches the size of the shad for the time of year that you're there. Make a lure color selection that fits to the water clarity and you're off to the races. That's a quick tip on a bait that I think gets overlooked this time of year. Great crankbait for covering water, for catching fish, and having a great time during the month of October. Thanks for watching this video, and until next time, good fishing.